My doctor told me that I had a tumor in my head. When you hear the words tumor in your head, I think it's probably one of the worst things that you can hear. Being around someone that's sick can be very energy draining. Some people started to get distance and saying, I don't like the drama, which was very painful.
How are they able to be confident and be there for a friend if they don't necessarily know themselves well enough?
Because I really thought these friends and family members were going to be there for me as I was there for them. But they just weren't. Accepting that is very painful.
Sadness is very difficult to accept. If I just accept that I'm sad, happiness just comes right after that. People are there when everything's going great. Party's happening, I'm in a good mood, I'm positive. Then I recognize, when things are not going well, and when I start needing to count on people, whether that's family or friends, then you start to really evaluate, wow, who are my people?
I just let myself go with all the sadness and the anger and the grieving process. And it was when I couldn't really do things on my own and take care of myself.
The moment that we start to think things are crumbling down, they're just starting.
I think that's the nicest lesson about letting go.
Wow.
You make room for new people or for new opportunities, for new adventures.
I'm responsible for my happiness. I'm responsible for my joy. Nobody else is responsible for that. I need to take ownership over how I live my life, and I don't need to wait around for anybody for me to start living. And I realize now that the gift is not within what we can gain or how much more we can have. It's that. Hey guys, welcome to another podcast. I'm here on the Robbie Moore podcast show. It's your boy, Robbie, and I'm very excited to have another episode with a really good friend of mine. And today we're going to be talking about new beginnings, which is a really good subject for me because I know that there's a lot of events in my life that I feel like just kind of like scramble around, and I feel like I have to start all over at times. And I feel like it's really okay to start from the beginning. And what better perfect to talk about new beginnings with my friend Deanna. And today I want to introduce you to Deanna.
Hello, oh my God. So great being here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, welcome.
I love this. This is
I know.
a really big deal for me.
It is for me too, because you've been a really good friend. And you've really helped me to have a different perspective in Bogota in Colombia. And I feel like us journeying together has been really good for us to grow and to become our better versions as well.
It has, yeah. It just feels like we had this encounter in the perfect moment, right? Because I was in this path of like changing very painfully. and so were you. You were in your healing path also with your own steps and your own process. And so we met at a time when we were both looking for answers. And so, of course, it's different for both of us and for everyone, but it has helped us grow and kind of learn from each other. It's been a very constructive friendship, yeah.
I agree. So new beginnings. I love this subject. It's a really good subject for me because I feel like in the past I've always had to restart, because I've had similar interests in my life. Like, for example, I wanted to be an actor. Okay, I switched. I wanted to be a videographer. I switched. I joined a college where I studied, a spiritual program. I switched. So I've always had to kind of like restart. So tell me about new beginnings. Why is it that you wanted to have this subject today?
This part of the year is prone to that a lot because we are ending the year. And so with the new year, we all have our resolutions and our hopes and our expectations to it, which is on one side. But on the other side, I think it's, I mean, for me and what I've been through this year, it has led me to just start this new life that I didn't know I needed so much. It was very hard at first, but now I'm getting used to it and I love it, and I don't wanna change any of it, and I do not want to lose this level of self awareness that I'm in right now. So this topic, new beginnings, for me means like the is the real path to what I want in life. 'Cause I
Mm.
was doing so wrong in so many different stages in my life. Now I finally feel like I'm on the right path. I mean, the thing is, sometimes you get to choose to change and to start over, right, with your life. But sometimes life makes you change, right? So I think in this, we're different. And I think it's very admirable when someone decides to change because they want to start healing, just like you have been doing for the last years. For me, it was a little bit more like change or die. So I decided to leave, which has been great. And I love my decisions and I love my new habits and I am very proud of it. But in both these scenarios, there is, I mean, there are like maybe similar ideas, but also different kind of thoughts to it. What do you think?
Tell me about your experience with, you mentioned about living or dying. So tell me about your experience as far as what led you to have no choice there. I guess I want to know more about, well, I already know your story, but I want really everyone else to kind of hear about what your experience was from when you found out about new information, and what was the process, the expectations.
I got a bad diagnosis earlier this year. It was in March. And well, my doctor told me that I had a tumor in my head. And when you hear the words tumor in your head, I think it's probably one of the worst things that you can hear. Probably not many things in the world or in life are so scary or as scary as hearing that. And so I allowed myself to be sad about it for like a week, and then and that's it. I started to take action and put my whole self in motion and in pro of living. And I took action on a lot of things, on healthy habits. Like I stopped eating bad foods. Just for starters, I quit sugar completely, and carbs and processed foods and alcohol. And in that process, I realized that there were some people in my life that weren't really so good for me at the moment. So I let go of them so that I could live a better life, so that I could be just relaxed and chilled and focus on all the medical process, because it took a lot of energy, time, and money.
Mm. Tell me about the experience when you started realizing who your true friends were. Because maybe in the past you knew that these friends were always there by your side. You felt like these were good friends. And then all of a sudden, a health crisis happened. And you started to kind of wonder, who was it that was actually there, being there 100% supporting you. I want to know a little bit more about that process.
So the thing is, adversity comes to your life in ways that you just don't expect. I never expected to hear these words, to be honest. Like, I knew I had some health issues, but I never expected this to happen. And because I decided to change when it happens, then the people around me started to feel a little uncomfortable with my new decisions. For example, if let's say that you and I are used to go and drink beer at night, I couldn't do that anymore. I decided not to do that anymore. So, okay, so what's happening? She's changed. She's not the same as she was before. She doesn't like us anymore. She wants to go to more high I don't know, status places or whatever it is their ideas were. So then people start to get distance of what's not comfortable for them, right? That's like one of the things. And the other one is being around someone that's sick can be very energy draining. And I know it because I have been a caregiver too in the past. But in this case, I was the sick person and I was the one that needed attention and active listening and love, right? And then because sometimes I was sad and sometimes I was angry and sometimes I just had to say no to everything and everyone and just go get my blood test done and my exams done and my head scans done and
Mm.
everything. It wasn't comfortable for people to be around the sick person. I know it sounds this sounds nasty, but that's what it is. So when you are all about telling your regular daily relationships stories or problems to your friend and then all you hear is tumor in my head and blood and everything's going wrong and then the test got wrong and I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know why this is so unfair and sometimes I cried and sometimes I wasn't listening to people. I was very distracted thinking about what my future was gonna be or if I had no future at all. And so some people started to get distance and saying things like, I don't like the drama, which was very painful. But I understood later that not that I agree with that, but I understand why. Like it was some people are avoidant because
It's like they're more uncomfortable about their selves. So it's like, how are they able to be confident and be there for a friend if they don't necessarily know themselves well enough? Does that make sense?
yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, in what you're saying. But I also think that some people feel safer when they avoid certain situations.
Mm.
So yeah, they probably have answers within themselves and trauma that they need to fix on their own. And I also stopped being the person that was there for everyone because I was always there for my friends and family and people. And I was the one that would solve problems and that would listen to them and that would help them whenever they needed. And I just stopped doing that because I really needed all my time and energy to focus on myself
Mm.
and on my health. And I did it and I made it. I survived. I'm very, very well right now. Sometimes I feel like I won some kind of a statistics lottery and because I'm doing so well. Like I don't have any sequels to the surgery. Like I'm still on recovery process. It's still not finished. But some people have very bad problems like side issues or
Mm.
hormonal problems and they need medicine for life or some terrible bad scars or sequels and I just don't have any of them. I'm
Mm.
really lucky.
I can imagine how difficult it was from hearing the information from the very beginning, having the expectation that that was the reality. It wasn't like some movie or a film. And I can't imagine how difficult it was for you to be able to come to acceptance that it was real, right? And something I really admire is the fact that you were able to accept it. And it took you just a week to be able to conform to kind of a new way of thinking, a new way of living. That's a very difficult thing to achieve. It really is. I think a lot of people that come up with or hear a lot of random news about their life, it's almost like they dwell so much about what was and they can't accept what is. I read something recently about a week ago about sadness, for example. Sadness is very difficult to accept, especially if it's depression or anxiety or just like this unstable emotion. I read recently that if I just accept that I'm sad, happiness just comes right after that. I think with acceptance, I become free. I accept that whatever circumstance I am in my life, it's almost like there's that space, there's a little space in me that's wanting to hang on to the idea that I don't accept this. It's this little space right here. And I want to get stuck in the space of like, I'm sad, this is not fair. I should have a better life. I should have better relationships. I should be in a relationship. I can come up with just an endless amount of what ifs and that I should. And I'm almost addicted to the idea that I don't want to let go. And then there's this acceptance space. There's a little space right here, and then there's all this area of acceptance. Once I move from the little space onto the bigger space of acceptance, it's almost like I free myself. Did you have a similar experience?
I did, but I gotta say, it took me a long time.
Hmm.
So, because I was so focused on doing and acting, and taking action and doing everything I had to do or everything I could do to be well and to survive and get a good recovery process from the surgery, I really didn't allow myself to be sad or to grieve during the medical process. So for me, this sadness and this hard moment of I don't want to let go. Why is this happening to me? What is my future gonna be like? Am I gonna be the same person or not? Because I actually didn't want to be the same person I was. I couldn't go back to live the life that made me sick. I had to change. I did, and I had to keep these changes in my life because otherwise I was gonna get sick again. And so there was a lot of questions and this feeling of not knowing what's going to happen next. But all this happened to me after, like a month after the surgery, when in my head I knew that I was free of danger, that I wasn't going to die anymore, that the surgery had gone well. And it's when I just let myself go with all the sadness and the anger and the grieving process. And it was when I couldn't really do things on my own and take care of myself because I needed assistance and I needed care and in the first moments.
So tell me about that process, the letting go process. There was a shift. Tell me about that experience. How did you come to that point? What was the feeling? Sounded like you had complete surrender in a way. And when did that happen?
I always repeated these words to myself ever since since I got diagnosed, and it is what it is. I always say this to myself. It is what it is. I have a tumor in my head. It has treatment, and the treatment is surgery. I need to make it happen as fast as I can. And so I did everything I could. I found really professional and loving people in the process that helped me a lot. I think about your question. It's letting go had different stages to it, but also different parts. Like letting go of the bad habits, for example. I thought it was gonna be so much harder, but it was one of the easiest things. It's like breaking the sugar addict inside me. I thought it was gonna be really hard. Like, I had tried to do that a lot of times in my life, and I always fail. You're an addict. We are all addicts to sugar addicts. I was a sugar addict too, but I said no. I'm not gonna let this kill me. My body is really trying to keep me alive every day and is fighting for it. So I need to help it with good decisions. And of course, sometimes I felt like I wanted some ice cream or some pasta or some, but that was the most surprising part of the letting go process for me, was that was the first thing I did that I managed to do. And then the hardest thing for me, I think, was letting go of people, because I really thought that these friends and family members were going to be there for me as I was there for them, but they just weren't. And accepting that is very painful.
It is. I want to know more about this. Like, this is a really good topic. Tell me about what it felt like when you realized the people that you really cared about and thought, they were there 100%. Then you realized they weren't. Tell me about that feeling and how did you come to terms with it?
So on one side of that, I didn't want to come off too strong with them because I knew that I was very vulnerable and I didn't want to say things that I would regret later. So what I decided to do was I was going to focus on my health and let them be. And even after the surgery, I waited for a month to get my ideas a little clearer because my hormonal system was completely unbalanced because of the surgery. And I knew that that affected my mood and my emotions, and that I needed some more clearance to think right and make decisions. So I just gave myself time to process the whole thing. So what I did after that was I really had to come to think, okay, do I need these people in my life? Do I want these people in my life? Because it's different. They're different things, right?
Tell me about the two differences. And how was it before, and when did you recognize that it was coming from a need to a want?
When you understand this, you realize that you don't need almost anyone in your life. Like I needed my caregivers that were my parents. I needed them, of course, and I do now. And they helped me a lot. Like if it weren't for them, I wouldn't be so well recovered now. I needed my therapist, which she has been there for me, and I'm grateful for that. And I needed myself, really. Like, I think I have never in my life, I was gonna say I have never needed myself more than now. Like, you always need yourself and your health, but I was never so aware of how much I needed my goodwill
Right.
to be alive. So that's what you need.
Yeah, there's a huge difference between, needing people and being codependent. I think the majority of my life, I've been codependent. I've been very needy on people's validation or acceptance, or me needing to feel okay with myself because everyone else is okay around me, right? Well, the script flipped quite recently in the last 5 years, in recognizing that I'm okay within me. I don't need to go around seeking for approval or validation when I know I'm okay with me. And I think it all started with me knowing that I needed to start with healing the inner child. And I think both of us can agree that we've been very used to having good people around us our entire lives, feeling very dependent on people when things are going really well, of course. But then when kind of a situation happens in our life, we realize, oh, who are my friends?
Yeah.
Who are the people that actually support me? And then I recognize that things go smooth when things are going smooth. People are there when everything's going great. The party's happening.
Yes.
I'm in a good mood. I'm positive. I'm funny, right? And then I recognize, when things are not going well, and when I start needing to count on people, whether that's family or friends, then you start to really evaluate, wow, who are my people? And I think when I started doing the inner child work, that, healing the inner child, and I only started recognizing this just a year ago, healing the inner child. And you said something really important. You said, I didn't know I needed myself so much. How did you put it? I forget the exact words that you said.
I didn't know that I needed it's more like my self-awareness and my goodwill.
Right. I didn't know that either until just a few years ago, how much I actually needed myself. Like society teaches us, oh, you're selfish if you're thinking of yourself, or you're arrogant if you're loving yourself, right? Well, I think there's a difference between narcissism and healthy self-love. And I think you and I have been missing out on that opportunity for the majority of our lives, because if you take a look at the scope of our life, things have been going pretty moderately well. We've had a family, we've had a roof over our head, we've had friends, but we didn't really look at life in a way that is very deep, like, who are my friends actually? And I think it's a gift what's happening. It's a gift, because if we really take a look at the scope of things, if things are not happening at this level, we wouldn't really reflect on a deeper level of like, okay, who am I? And that's something I've tend to really ask myself in the last few years is, who is Robbie? Who am I? Who's Deanna? Who are you? And when I start to take ownership and I realize that I'm responsible for my own well being. I'm responsible for my happiness. I'm responsible for my joy. Nobody else is responsible for that. I need to take ownership over how I live my life. And I don't need to wait around for anybody for me to start living. And this is what I love about our interactions in the last few months. We've been on several phone calls, and I think that we're slowly coming to accept that we get to live our life. And you said earlier that there was a need and a want. You know, you wanted people, but did you actually need them? And that was a cool statement for me to hear, because for me, what that means is that I'm starting to wake up to the idea that I want to be around the people that I choose to be around. I don't need them, but I love them. And I think that in the past, I've opened up my doors to way too many people, like way too many. And we had a conversation, which I really loved that you shared this with me. It was about a month ago, and I was reconnecting with old people back here, you know, old friends. I remember it was about a year ago, I started letting go of people, right? But then I started yearning to get in touch with the same people because I thought maybe I changed. I looked at things differently in my life. So maybe they're probably changing too, right? Well, that was further away from the truth because I reconnected and I just re-welcomed the same unhealthy behavior. It's like I re-invited the same unhealthy patterns. And you said something to me really important. You said, Robbie, maybe it's not you. Maybe that you're possibly doing the work in your life and that you're advancing, and maybe they're not. And it's okay to let them go.
Yeah, it's normal to feel that even if you met these people for, I don't know, 2, 3, or 4 years, you haven't seen them in a while, and then you just hang out with them because they're your friends and you're having fun, and you just don't feel comfortable around them anymore. You just don't feel like you share the same ideas or want the same things. And yeah, some of us have the tendency to feel that there is something wrong with us, that maybe we don't care for them anymore. But the truth is, when we reach a higher level of trauma resolution, we just don't get along with people that is same dwelling in the same cycles over and over again. And I gotta tell you, I was here. Like in the beginning of this year, I was here, just going around the same patterns over and over again, not healing well, not thinking straight, not looking forward, but just regretting my past so much. And then when I got this big news, I thought, actually, my doctor told me, he said, okay, so what else needs to happen for you to change? You already have a tumor in your head. What else is it going to take for you to start caring for yourself? And that question, it just really hit me, you know? And so I just started changing. And so these people stayed in here. And then I was moving forward very painfully, but I did. And then when I was in the other side of the pain of the broken face bone and of the ICU and of the blood and the recovery and the scarring process and the dizziness and the headaches and everything, I realized that I don't even want this in my life anymore. Like I really want it far away from me. Like I know I can share a little bit of alcohol or wine with some people and that's okay, but I don't want to make it my focus or center of attention. I don't want to go out and eat cakes or bad foods for me because it just really makes me feel like I'm poisoning myself. Okay. So I really don't care about being here anymore. I feel like I am in a different level of trauma, and that has made me share ideas and get connections with people that are also around here. And that feels so great because then, okay, so I learn from them. We spend good quality time together. And it's not only about the food I eat, right? That is healthy. It's about what I listen. It's about what I see. It's about what I what I get from my environment now.
Mm.
I really try to take what's best for me.
Mm.
And when you meet people and when you hang out around people that want what's best for them, that know what this is about, they don't feel uncomfortable with you making good food choices. They don't feel uncomfortable with you wanting to listen to good audiobooks or nice podcasts. And they don't feel uncomfortable with you speaking this kind of maybe transcendental topics, or trying to achieve a healthier level of awareness.
Mm.
And that is very important to understand, because I mean, people can try and make you feel that there's something wrong with you
Mm.
when you're caring for yourself.
I talked about this in a recent episode where there are a lot of people that feel so insecure to get to the level to make you feel insecure along with them. And what I mean by that is most people are not wanting to tell you the honest truth of saying, Deanna, I really don't like you. Instead, they're going to kind of work their way around in a passive aggressive way to make you look lesser than so that they can look higher. Kind of like instead of really being honest and transparent, they'll make you feel as if they want you to be insecure, even though the truth is they're the insecure ones. So
Yeah.
the one thing that I learned is that if I don't know myself well enough, if I don't do the work, if I don't build my better version, if I don't heal the inner child, well, basically what it is that, well, if I'm an unhealed inner child, I'm going to just be interacting with a bunch of other unhealed inner children. We may look like adults, but a lot of us have not done the work yet. So a lot of people in the world are taking things personally when really it's just a bunch of children acting as children, thinking as children, feeling as children, when they haven't really learned the tools to be able to self-regulate their emotions. What I really like about the topic we're having is that you are now finding healthy friends, which is like very refreshing because finally you can be yourself. You can share your likes, your dislikes without being judged or ridiculed. If you don't want to have a drink, they're like, yeah, no, totally cool. They're happy to be in your presence regardless of your choices. What's great about this is that we're starting to really replace unhealthy patterns with healthy patterns. And I had no idea that there was healthy people in the world for me to be myself, for me to learn to grow together. Because I think for true friendships is really what it's really meant for, is for us to grow together, So I really like that. So when did you start finding those healthy friendships, and how did you start recognizing them?
That's a funny question, because actually some of them I knew them before, like years ago. But for some reason that now I understand why, we didn't keep touch for too long. Like we just spoke like once a year, once every 2 years. But now it's like we just can have these long talks and just never ending ideas sharing. And I just wasn't in that same place as them, you know?
Right.
I don't want to put them like over me, like they're better than me. No, what I'm saying is when you change, people notice that you change. That's not the reason why you do it, but it just shows. So I started changing on the inside, right? And it just came inside out. And now you can see it. And I'm not talking about physical appearance. I'm talking about maybe the way I walk, the way I look, the way I speak, the kind of confidence that people can perceive from me. And this tranquility that it's in my eyes and in my voice as I speak, it wasn't there before. And so now what's beautiful about this question is some of the friends that that I actually hang out with right now that are very healthy friendship for me. I knew them before years ago, but it just never happened. And now it's happening. And I think it's because I have reached just a higher level of self-love and self-care. And And somehow, at some people left because of my sickness or my tumor. Some people have found this very inspirational in the way I dealt with things. And that has made them come closer to me. So look how beautiful it is that when, you know, these people that left, then made room for new, more valuable and nicer people to come. And I think that's the nicest lesson about letting go.
Wow.
You make room for new people or for new opportunities, for new adventures, for new clothes, for new everything.
Right. The moment that we start to think things are crumbling down, they're just starting. That's beautiful. It's amazing. I had an experience, and we'll wrap up. We just have a few minutes left. I had an experience. I went on a trip and I realized there was a sharp pain in my leg called sciatica. And it was so painful that I had not appreciated how my leg has been operating for 36 years. And immediately after the sciatica started to heal, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm just really happy that I'm healthy and that I can sleep normally and sit normally, because with sciatica, I was not able to sit or sleep without the sharp pain going from my left butt to the lower part of my leg." And I realize now that the gift is not within what we can gain or how much more we can have. It's that, what do I have now and how do I cherish it and appreciate it? And I'm really grateful to have had this conversation with you, because something that happened to me last week is I reached another level of awareness, is that I can actually let people go without actually letting them go. What I mean by that is I needed to find a formal way to let people go, whether that be texting them or calling them, or this is not going to work. Well, what if I can just slowly remove myself, silently remove myself, and just see how it all flows after that? Because people will either make the effort to want to be in your life or not. And so what I'm recognizing is that after healing my inner child, I learned that I can be with myself, but also understand that it's really important to be in community, because we're not meant to isolate ourselves. We're meant to be in community. We're social creatures, but it depends who those people are. So I'm really thankful that you're coming to find that you're having healthy people in your life, that you're reaching a new beginning, that you recognize that what has happened with your awareness with having a tumor is that there is a gift in it, and that's changing your perspective. It's changing the way you look at your life. So I really appreciate you, Deanna. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I really get this feeling every now and then of I look around and I see the sun and I see nature, I see someone that I love or some animal, and I think I am so grateful to be alive, that I had given it for granted. When I got really sick and I couldn't do anything for myself, just like the example you gave, I realized that being alive and being well to enjoy life, it's such a beautiful gift.
It is.
And we only have one life to enjoy, to be honest. This is what I would like your audience to remember. It's being alive is so beautiful. And in my case, I only understood it when I thought that I wasn't gonna have that anymore. So just don't wait for that to happen.
Yeah. Don't wait on people to start living.
Or don't wait for your health to
Yeah,
to
right.
crash. It's
Yeah, a lot of people are looking at the wrong things to start living. Start joy today. Stop wasting time and being scared of things that are not going to come true. So thank you for your testimony today. High five.
high five. Cool.
Thank you for watching this episode. And I really appreciate that you guys tuned in. Make sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon. Remember to start living your life today. Stop being scared of things that are not going to come true. Start appreciating the way your body is functioning today. Start appreciating your health today, and start collecting healthy and positive people in your life, because whoever you surround yourself with, you will become. Thank you for joining us today on the Robbie Moore podcast, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye bye.
Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel where I travel around the world and I share my experience, my strength, and my hope with the people I encounter every single day. Travel and journey with me around the world as I see the most beautiful parts of this mundo. Be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and remember that you are loved.